How you doing, Kip?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It's an honor to have you on the show, brother.
Oh, good. How's the weather out there?
You know how it is. It's hot, man.
It's the same thing here, sitting on a football field watching these kids play. It's like burning up out here.
Where are you at, if you don't mind me asking?
Orlando?
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, then you got the humid heat there.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least here it's a dry heat, as they say.
Yes, exactly. I guess heat, though, any way you look at it.
Mm-hmm. So, we just came off the Slammiversary pay-per-view a couple weeks ago. How'd you think everything turned out?
Well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
James turned on me.
Yeah.
I thought I had him in. I thought I had him in the bag, and he turned on me. That's all right. He'll get his though.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will. Well, we usually go in like a more.
Brothers are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We usually go in a chronological order. Speaking of brothers, let me also introduce on the phone my brother of sorts, Eric Clancy's also on the phone with me. Eric, you there?
How you doing, Kip?
Hey, good, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Waited a little long to pull the trigger on that one, but that's cool.
That little seven-second delay is kicking in.
Yeah. All right, man. We usually go in more chronological order, so let's try to get that going, and hopefully things will pan out great for us. The first time I had an opportunity to see you as a wrestling fan 10 years ago or 11 years ago, whenever it was the debut of the Smoking Guns. What is your initial thoughts on that character and those gimmicks?
Well, it was good for us. I mean, well, it was good for me anyway, because my whole background since I was a little kid was, I used to train horses, rode bulls and stuff like that, and then went to college to do that. So I mean, when we came in with a gimmick that we were real comfortable with, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to get over to the fans and get over as somebody just come in, because I mean, we were brand new to wrestling. We'd been working maybe, a year at the most before we came up to New York. And it was comfortable because we were in comfortable surroundings, kind of with the cowboy gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Why do you feel that maybe you lasted a little bit longer than your brother Bart or your on-air brother Bart in the American wrestling scene?
I don't know. I think I just suited New York a little bit better than he did. I mean, he had a great career with Vince, and then had a good career over in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really more Japan style, because he's incredibly strong, incredibly tough, and they just over there it's a little different. They just go to swinging people and just beating the crap out of each other. Over here it's more entertainment, and it's more about charisma and presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that, I've always had a lot of charisma because I love being in front of people, so it brings out that much more in me. So, I mean, when they split us up and wanted to try to run me as a single, it was, it was okay. It was good for me, bad for Bart, but, I mean, I think it was just more that I had more the entertaining part of it than Bart did.
I'd agree with that. We did an interview once upon a time with the Honky Tonk Man, and he mentioned managing you as the long-forgotten character of Rockabilly.
Yeah.
Does that bring nightmares when I mention that name?
Yeah, nightmares is not even remotely what it was. I thought it was the end of my career, so I don't know what it was. Because that went nowhere fast.
Yeah.
That didn't even have a chance to go uphill. It just went straight downhill.
I mean, did they even, my logic behind that is, did they even think it would work? I mean, is anybody sitting there thinking, I can see people buying Rockabilly things 30 years after Rockabilly was actually popular form of music?
Right.
I don't really.
No, what it was is that when I split from Bart, it was like they wanted to put something on me. They kind of wanted to go that kind of keep me in that character, but not that much of that character, kind of off, kind of like an off brand of it. And it was, nobody put any thought into it. Nobody did anything, because when I was supposed to come out and do the debut thing of it, it was just like nobody had a clue. And they just went, okay, here. They gave me a Levi jacket with a bedazzler, things on it, and just said, okay, go try that. And it was like, how do you get into something that nobody even gave a crap about or put any thought into? So it was just horrible.
Now, I remember, and I think it was on a Shotgun Saturday night, and it was ironic because you and the Road Dogg formed the New Age Outlaws, and at the time nobody blinked an eye, and it went on to become one of the most money-making tag teams of all time. Who came up with the idea for the Outlaws?
Me and Road Dogg, because what happened is when they originally put us together, it was like kind of like punishment thing, because me and him were supposed to run down, and Shawn and Undertaker had a match. We were supposed to run down and do something, and they called us off, and we didn't. We stopped about halfway down the ramp and started like talking to each other, and they thought we were, kind of playing around, and we weren't. Mm-hmm. And then they put us together, just, because they really weren't doing nothing with either one of us. So they kind of put us together as kind of like a rib on us, and the rib was actually on them, because from the get-go, from us being together from the first time, it was just unbelievable. It's just great chemistry there.
Mm.
How important do you feel the Road Warriors were in helping make the New Age Outlaws one of the greatest tag teams that the 90s saw?
As great as they were, they had their time where they were, the elite of the elite. I think they were just like a stepping stone for us to go on. I think even without them, I mean, they had, a part in it, but I think even without them, we would have still did the great things that we did. I mean, you have, and luckily for us, they were, gracious enough to work with us and do, and help us get along. But, I mean, yeah, there's a little part to it, but I think we would have still done what we would have done.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you joined Degeneration X, and there's rumors on the Internet claiming that they really wanted you to join the faction, I should say, well before you guys actually did. Is there any truth that they wanted you to join as early as Shawn Michaels and Triple H's days with the faction?
No, that's a lie.
That's a flat-out lie?
That's a lie. Yeah, they didn't want us in there.
They didn't want
us in DX because they didn't think that me and Road Dogg were going to get over.
Wow.
They did, and that's the truth. I mean, you can call Road Dogg, interview him, he'll say the same thing. But then as they just gave us the reins and let us do our own thing, what we wanted to do, we just shot through the roof. I mean, people loved to see what we were doing next.
Hmm.
So even during that, I remember when you guys came down after the match with Shawn and Triple H versus the Road Warriors, and you all destroyed the Road Warriors. That even then there was no plans, because I remember the Internet was abuzz that right after that you guys were going to join right after. There was no plans even then.
You know what I think it was? It was kind of a hint to see what the people would do, how they would react to us being with them, or with them with us. I think that's what it was. I think it was more of a feel-out phase. But I think then maybe they had a clue that they wanted us in there.
You were with the WWE years before Triple H joined the company, and you saw him grow from pretty much a lower mid-carder into obviously the mega superstar that he is right now. How has Triple H changed over the years, and what are your feelings on him?
I knew you guys were going to ask me this too. He was, he had no spot when he first got there. So of course he was, he was humble and doing what he did. But then as he got in that clique and they started getting more power, all of a sudden he's invincible and untouchable. And then he goes and uses the more power he got, the more inventive ear he got, the more powerful he got, and then just with behind people's back. That's what he holds most people back is him. It's not anybody's talent, because I mean, if you're even a remote wrestling fan, you can see the talent that's there. It's just that he gets threatened by guys that are better than him. So he just puts a kibosh on everybody. And he's just evil. That's what he is. He's an evil person. That's okay, because evil things happen to bad people anyway.
Were you guys? So obviously you guys, the feelings have changed since your time in DX, because I assume you guys were all good friends when that happened, right?
No, that's a misconception. I mean, we were friends. I mean, it was not friends. It's we worked together, and we did. Me and Road Dogg did what we had to do.
Business partners, right?
And yes. And he did what he had to do, and, he was always in Vince's office, always doing, well, DX doesn't want to do this, we want to do that. Me and Road Dogg never cared. We didn't care. That was so great about the tag team. Me and him did our own thing because we went out there and pleased the people. We weren't into pleasing the people in the office because that came naturally. Because as long as we were putting asses in the seats, they didn't care what we did. But him, on the other hand, he's trying to get jockey for position and get power. So he'll go in and say, well, don't let him do this because it's not going to be right and this, that, and the other. I mean, there's a lot of crap that goes on that nobody knows about, and it's wrong. It just is wrong to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's corporate. I guess you could say, well, that's corporate America because it's not only in wrestling, it's in CEOs of American wrestling, same things too. And it does happen, and I realize that. But when you have people that have talent and do their job and do it good, and you still put the knife further in their back to hold them back is wrong to me.
Is the locker room any different from the Attitude Era when things were just, going through the friggin' roof to now?
Or when you were last there?
The locker room's horrible. It was miserable. Ever since the DX thing and Stone Cold and The Rock and everybody kind of kicked out and it all turned all of a sudden, it went public with the company, the whole nine. It's horrible. Everybody just is everybody's miserable there. If they make it that way. And it doesn't have to be, because wrestling isn't a job. It's just guys that get to act like little kids and get paid for it. I mean, how much better can that get?
Yeah.
That'd be a great job to have, actually.
Right.
All right, so one of the things that really changed the business in 1998 was when you guys invaded WCW. How cool was that to show up at Turner Enterprises, or whatever you want to call it, with a tank?
Oh, it was great. I mean, you can't. How much better does it get when you get to drive a tank down, the main street and pull up to a WCW show and call everybody out and try to get them to come out? I mean, we weren't starting nothing. We were just, talking to the fans and, having a good old time. And that's what was great about the DX stuff and everything. They would do new things like that and have fun with it, and that's what was great about it.
Now, I remember, and pretty much everyone was pegging you as the next single star after Triple H left DX, and they gave you a heel turn in '99, and you won the King of the Ring, and you're having a pretty steady push. You were getting over as a heel, and they put you with The Rock, and then you started to get some cheers from the audience. But it was just because I felt that the people enjoyed the character, not because they wanted to turn you face. I felt the office made a huge mistake in turning you face in the fall of '99. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there again, it's just a political thing. It's somebody that gets over stronger than the guys that they want to get over, so they try to. It's just like, it's kind of like the Lex Luger thing. Remember when they put him on the bus and they just absolutely did everything they could to shove him down people's throats, and they didn't try it. They wouldn't do it because he had no talent. I mean, nothing against Lex. He just wasn't into it. But, when you got guys that have talent and love doing what they do and go out there and do their job and do it really good, for some reason, if it's not the guy they want to push, then they just put the kibosh on it. They just do. I mean, they just don't need to put you on TV, or they make some excuse, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, which is all bull crap. It's all politics is what it is, and Hunter.
So they actually would can something that would make money just because they would. Because I've heard a lot of things about this creative team from Charlie Haas told us a lot of stuff about them, and it just sounds idiotic. I mean, if you can make money, why not?
Yeah, it's just the creative team they got are a bunch of people that really don't know wrestling for some reason. I mean, I don't understand how you put, even to the writers. I mean, the writers and creative. I mean, it's almost like they've never seen wrestling.
Right.
And what they've read about is in a comic book somewhere that that nobody ever reads. So they don't get it. And they don't get it, and they don't try to work with guys that, if they see them going one direction and it's not really working for them because they don't feel it, they don't pull them out of it. They just go, well, try harder, and all it does is bury them because they don't know what they're doing and nobody can help them with it.
Tess mentioned that he thought that when Russo left the company that it hurt a lot of guys that were coming up. Do you feel that you were one of the guys that might have gotten hurt when Russo left the company?
No, I don't really think so. I don't think that way. I don't think. I mean, Russo was good at what he did. I mean, he was really good. But I mean, it went further than Russo. It went way further than that. And I don't even know what it is actually.
How did you enjoy working with The Rock at SummerSlam '99?
Oh, I loved it. He was so easy. He's easy. He's not one of these guys that you could work and do anything you wanted to with him. I mean, it was fun, and plus he was so over that, it made everything that much easier. When you work guys that are over that much, it makes everything easier, and you're, excited because everything you do, the people just go absolutely berserk over. So it makes my job easier. It makes anybody's job easier to work with guys that are that over. It was fun. He's good. He's easy. Sorry.
It's okay. Did the Ass Man character originate from that episode of Seinfeld?
No, actually, that was all like a mistake, actually, because Road Dogg was. It's the funniest thing because usually whenever Road Dogg comes out and talk, whatever he says, people took it as gospel. It was just because he's so talented and he's so amazing at everything he does that one night he came out. Of course, he always had a live mic and he was pissed off about something. So he's like, "No, you won't. You'll call me Mr. Road Dogg and you'll call him Mr. Ass." And it was like, and that is all he said. I swear that is all he said. The next Monday Night Raw after that, there were signs all through the place calling me Mr. Ass. it was like the weirdest thing. I'm going, thanks, Jeff. Now I'm just marked. Now nobody ever look at me the same now. And I mean, it was good because it was a fun character and it was easy for me to do.
Well, let me bounce this off you. We have somebody working on our site right now in our forums named Lodi, and he ran a character in WCW that was pretty much like Billy and Chuck ended up being, with the quote-unquote gay gimmick. And there was a group called GLAD that sued WCW and essentially got the characters pulled off TV. Now, one of my favorite things is how Vince played these people when you guys started doing the gimmick and made it so WCW looked ridiculous because they didn't stand up and fight for their guys. What did you think of the character, first of all, and what did you think of the fight that gay organizations put up against you guys?
To me, when they came to me and Chuck about the whole what we were doing anyway, it was kind of a they were really high on Chuck. They wanted to do something with him. I wasn't doing anything, so they figured they'll put me with him for a little while and to try to get him seasoned or try to get him a little bit better at what he's doing and kind of feel a little bit more. So we came up with this thing that we'll act like male strippers or something, because everybody thinks that male strippers are gay, but they're not. They're just they think they're God's gift to women, the whole nine. So we started off kind of doing that kind of thing, facing the divas. We wanted our own calendar and stuff, and then all of a sudden they just took it another step forward. And, but the good thing about it was something that really in the past has been kind of hard to pull off. I mean, because people just don't buy it and they think it's ridiculous. But for some reason, the way we did it, and the way, the Benzer TV went off with it, people would buy it. And they were like, they had that doubt that, oh my God, are you telling me that they're gay? but it was just something, a character to do that was fun. Because it's just like, playing a role on TV. You want to play something that's totally not you and see what you can do with it. And we did a good job with it.
So you're telling me you're not gay?
Yeah, no, I'm really not.
I remember GLAD sent you a gravy boat on, I believe it was the Today Show. You guys were getting more press than like The Rock at that point.
Yes, exactly. We were on the front page of every newspaper from here. I mean, somebody sent me a paper from Korea that had our pictures on the front of it. I mean, we were in the back of Time magazine, had the whole back page of Time magazine. I mean, it was actually amazing how it took off, how people actually bought it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit because James skipped ahead of where I actually wanted to go. But I remember in 2000, after you made your return, when you were sidelined with the, I believe it was shoulder injury, and you came back and you immediately got embroiled in the feud with Eddie Guerrero in China, and eventually you won the Intercontinental title. During that time, there was a whole weird thing with they didn't want to call you Mr. Ass. They started calling you Billy G, the One. What was up with all the nicknames and everything? Can you clear that up for us?
Because they were, it was a thing that certain on, like when they did the weekend shows, it was more cleaned up because it was so it was already past the kind of the risky stage, and where Vince all of a sudden cared about what the public thought and had an image to uphold now and wasn't doing anything else risky or doing stuff that actually got the company where it was in the sense of what it was in the 90s. And they were not wanting to call me that because on the weekend shows they couldn't really do anything because they had to keep bleeping the name out and this, that, and the other. So they said, what do you think if we just change your name and do this, that, and and to me, I don't know, it kind of took something away, I thought, but but what could I do? I just did my job. That's what they wanted me to do. So I think it was just more of a censor thing and kind of taking away the Mr. Ass thing because it just wasn't TV friendly anymore. How that figured out, I don't know.
I remember, and you also had a nice feud with Eddie Guerrero, and you worked with China. How did you enjoy that portion of it?
Eddie's actually is phenomenal. He's actually, probably one of the best workers of all time. I mean, he can work with anybody, do anything with anybody, and he's fun to work. Because he knows, he virtually knows everything and can do anything. So that was great for me, and working China, she was easy because she listened, as long as she trusts you and she trusts me. So, that was okay.
Let me just bounce this off you. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to WrestleMania 14. We interviewed Terry Funk about, 6 months ago, and we mentioned that was a fun match to watch, and he came back with, well, it wasn't fun for me, and he said that he, quote, lost his ass in that match, talking about it tearing his ass cheek or something along those lines. Would you like to talk about that and tell me exactly what's going on?
Yeah, Terry, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Well, he wanted to do this power bombing from the ring apron into the dumpster, and there was I never saw it, but there was like a 2x4 sticking out of the side for something on the lid or something, so the lid wouldn't go all the way in. And when I picked him, because me and Jess, it was kind of like a double power bomb.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, it looked pretty sick going in there too.
Yeah, I mean, and I tried to throw him over as far as I could, but for some reason I think he caught that thing, and it just took. But you know what? The thing about Terry is he never said nothing nor complained, because he's probably the toughest individual I've ever seen. So it was just like it was just a fluke thing because we never saw that board in there. But yes, I did do it. I'll take full responsibility for it.
Now, actually, if we can go a year ahead from WrestleMania 14 to WrestleMania 15. Now, everybody and their brother, like Billy Gunn, is going to be involved in the Intercontinental title feud. You were having the good feud, the good little feud with Ken Shamrock, and then Venus wins the title, and they're working towards a three-way. Of course, Road Dogg on the other side was going for the hardcore title. Now, Russo had a tendency to just swerve people for the sake of swerving them. So, for whatever reason, you were given the hardcore title, and Road Dogg was given the Intercontinental title, and all that build-up was completely wasted. Did you feel that all that swerve really hurt WrestleMania 15 as far as, the build-up to the matches that you two were involved in?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what they were doing. I kind of get it. Because it's so much now in wrestling, everybody knows everything,
right.
And they think they can sit there and before the match even starts, well, this is what they're going to do here. They're going to try to do this, and then they're going to try to fake us out and do this, but he's really going to win this, and so I understand what they were looking for, but I think in the meantime of trying to swerve the people, they swerved the company.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, yeah. But I mean, I understand what they were trying to do. It's just I don't think it came off very well.
Well, there's a funny thing about swerves, and our guest that we just had on, Canyon, who worked for WWE for a short time in WCW, said that there's a difference between fans expecting something and fans wanting something.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I think that a lot of the bookers seem to have these days.
Yes, exactly.
Well, speaking of unexpecting something, when you received your release from the WWE, did you expect that to come down the way it did?
No, because I was released on a Monday, which was November 1st, which was my birthday, and that was the first phone call I got.
Oh, wow. So, happy freaking birthday.
Yeah, right, exactly. But the Friday before that, not 2 days before that, I got a phone call from Johnny asking me if I'll go down to OVW and kind of check out the talent, because I do that every now and then. They'd send me down there. Because they had faith in me that I knew who they could do stuff with and who they couldn't, who they were just wasting time with, and so he called me and asked me if I'd go down, and I said sure, because I'd been off for a little while. So they asked me, well, go down there and just work with some of these kids that we want to use and stuff like that. And I said, well, no problem. Okay, just call me when you want me to go, or plane tickets, whatever. Let me know. Okay, thanks. I'll get back with you. First thing Monday morning, I get a phone call. He goes, Creative can't really find anything to do with you, and we don't know what to do with you, so we're going to give you a release. Thanks, bud. And that was exactly how it goes.
Wow. And did that ruin your birthday?
You know what? I didn't. Honestly, yeah, it did. It did in a way, but I was trying not to let them, do that, because I know how this kind of business runs. I mean, but for the life of me, I can't understand why they would say that they can't come up with nothing for me. I have a million things they could have done, and it's not like the people were tired of seeing me. Yeah, I've been there a long time, but still get one of the biggest pops going out there because they knew they were getting something good when they saw me. They were going to get entertained.
Right. I'd agree with that.
Going to have fun. And just, and at least not even offer me an agent's job if they didn't want me to work anymore, then offer me an agent's job or something like that, like they do with people that hadn't even been in the company for a year. And then, I put 13 years, almost 13 years in this company and, never had any trouble out of me or anything. And then all of a sudden, we can't find out before you goodbye.
Well, whose fault is that, really? Whose fault is it that they can't come up with something for you? Isn't it the writer's fault, not your fault?
That was the excuse. Well, creative doesn't really know what to do with you. We can't come up with nothing. Thanks, bye, you're released.
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
That fast and simple.
Well, when we talked to Charlie Haas, we always figured, well, if creative can't find anything for the wrestlers, why don't we find new creative people, since they're not obviously doing their job?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It's a really messed up world it's a messed up business that we're involved in, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of lapses in creative, why don't we turn to the current tag team scene? And since I think you might have a record for most tag titles of a singles wrestler who's different tag teams. Can you just give us your opinion on the WWE's tag team scene or lack thereof?
Yeah, it's not, New York is a singles, and they put all their concentration on the world titles, both on SmackDown and Raw. They're not a tag division. He puts tags in there just for the simple sake of, because people like them, and they're exciting, and they're different, but they don't put any thought into it. They don't put any energy into it. The only time they put energy into it is when me and Road Dogg had them. Then they were hot. That's the hottest they've ever been, that I can remember. But they were hot because people were interested in what was going on with them. Now they don't. I mean, I couldn't tell you who had them. So they're not a tag team company. They do everything that they do is 90% of their world title and their singles guys, and 10% is to whoever else they want to do something with them.
Fair point. Well, were you surprised at how many times the WWE tried to sue TNA to get them to change your name?
Yeah, you know what? It was all, first of all, they say they're not worried about TNA. They don't care what they do. Background, the name. TNA already kind of got the rights to the New Age Outlaws. And then all of a sudden I hear that a bunch of crap went down and they got it back and they released it all because they let it lapse, because I guess they just figured that, we were washed up and, never be heard from again, thought we'd tuck our tails and run. But, of course, that's not going to happen. But it was just, you hear one thing from them, and then all of a sudden they'll turn right around and do something else because they are worried about it. It's another company, and it's another organization that people are actually watching because they like it. Because people at TNA, all the guys at TNA have good attitudes. They go out there and they work their tails off. And there's not an hour of talking and an hour of wrestling, or even that. Everybody wrestles, everybody's good, everybody goes out there and tries to tell the best story they can. Of course, you don't have all the time in the world that New York has right now, but at least in the time that they have, the kids go out there and they put everything they have into it, and they really enjoy what they do.
Well, what would you say the difference is between the TNA locker room and the WWE locker room in terms of morale?
Night and day. It's night and day. Because everybody at TNA, all the boys in the TNA, there's not big egos there. I mean, I'm not saying there won't be. I'm not saying there couldn't be, when they really get going. But right now, everybody's striving to make this company work and to make this company go, and be able to go up against Vince and be able to do that. So everybody's got a great head on their shoulders. They're excited. They love to work there. They can't wait for the shows to start, and you can see it back there. On the other hand, when you're in New York, it's just nobody wants to talk to anybody because you don't know who you can trust and who you can't, and then everybody's just miserable. They're just miserable.
And it shouldn't be that way when you're on the top like that.
Right.
What is your opinion of a guy who we've had on the show, and with the exception of Jeff Jarrett, might be the cornerstone of TNA? That's AJ Styles.
He's absolutely remarkable, and he's actually what he lives up to. What his name is, he's phenomenal. He is absolutely. He's an athlete. He's good, and he's like probably one of the most underrated guys there is right now because he doesn't have the exposure that the New York people had. If you were to stick him in New York and kind of put a little bit of push behind him, good Lord, that kid would blow the doors off the place.
We just had Hulk Hogan on the show, and Hulk Hogan was saying, for all my limitations, if I could do a drop kick, I would. If I could do a jump off the splash, I would. But I do it when it meant something. And when I see AJ work, I'm thinking, well, this guy can do that stuff, and he does it when he means something. So this guy could go to the moon.
Yeah, and he could, and he's that talented. I mean, he really hasn't really even showcased his talent, because there's almost really nobody that can. I mean, there is guys that are on that same level, but they don't have the time to do what he can really do on TV, to give him that much time, and he doesn't have anybody. In my opinion, it's not a bad thing. It's just where the company is right now. He just doesn't have the star power behind him to kind of make him who he needs to be. I mean, he will be there. I mean, I have no doubt about that. He'll probably be probably one of the next big stars.
So you excited about getting on Spike?
Yeah, I'm excited about getting on the TV station. Period.
yeah, definitely.
And it's not just for me. It's for this whole company, for whole TNA, because they've worked so hard to do it. They've got people in the office that are really excited about it. It's not just another business deal. It's almost like getting a present on Christmas. It's just everybody's excited. They got it, and they're real enthused, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Spike will be extremely pleased. And I think we're going to get every week that we'll get a bigger and bigger audience, and pretty soon TNA will be a household name.
Would you like to see the Monday Night Wars restart, if possible?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe later. Maybe later. But I just.
You don't think they're ready yet?
No, they're not ready now, because back then you had all the components to make where people were buying TVs with picture-in-picture because they wanted to watch both shows.
Yes.
Because you had in New York you had DX, which is probably the Elite, and Rock and Stone Cold, and then you had Wolfpack over on the other side, and that kind of tension, because when you try to compare something to that and it doesn't pair up to that, it kind of gives you false hope, or kind of it kind of almost leaves the people like, oh, that's not as, you get that, well, that's not as good as what I remember, DX and the Wolfpack doing, so I almost really would think that would be a bad thing to kind of try to get into that thing. Now, competing with Vince is another thing, product for product should be more in the direction they go.
Yeah, because if you can actually have it.
I don't know if that's kind of the same, or if it's, you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. It's almost like if we were to put DX back together, everybody back together, it would be okay because the people would kind of like it, but they would go, well, where's the invasion stuff? Where are you guys, why aren't you dressing up like everybody and making fun of them, and, that kind of thing. So it kind of leaves people going, well, it's good, but it's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, I mean, the thing right now is I think TNA has a lot going for them. I think that right now what they need to do more than anything is prove themselves as a viable alternative.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch WWE, you don't have to. You can watch TNA and have another option.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is a better way to put it right there. Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily have to go head to head with them just yet, but down the line, I mean.
Wouldn't, because honestly, I think that would kill them off.
Absolutely.
Because it's just the notoriety that Vince has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just he has the stroke right now. And he has TV everywhere, and when it doesn't fail when you watch one of his pay-per-views and he's got 40,000 people in there. It's telling you something.
Yeah. They're not doing poorly at all right now. So.
No.
All right. Well, before we close that, can we just give you a couple of word associations? And if you have a one-word answer, that's fantastic. If you want to give a story, feel free to do that as well.
Okay.
All right. The first name on the list is B.G. James.
The best ever, talented as I would try to do him in one word, but you just can't.
Yeah.
He's just unbelievable, and he's a very good friend of mine, and he's extremely talented.
How about the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels?
Work-wise and charisma-wise, very, very talented.
How about somebody that we mentioned a little bit ago, just because your reaction was kind of funny that you started laughing? How about Hulk Hogan?
Respected.
How about Bart Gunn? Bart Gunn.
very good friend of mine and extremely tough. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him because he just called me. He just called me a minute ago, and he'll probably listen to your show and try to beat me up or something.
He's a big tough guy. I wouldn't want to make him mad.
How about Stephanie McMahon?
Daddy's little girl.
How about Jeff Jarrett?
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And how about, I think I got one more. Eric, do you have any?
I have just one more.
All right, you go first.
All right, I have a guy that you worked with quite a bit in DX, and that would be Sean Waltman or X-Pac, whatever you want to call him.
He's a great guy and makes me laugh because he's funny.
All right, and then the last one is, of course, your former boss, Vince McMahon.
He knows wrestling, and he's a great business guy, a good business guy. Just a little harsh.
A little harsh. All right. Well, we can't thank you enough. Is there anything you'd like to plug real quickly? Anything that's on your mind? Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just, if people haven't caught TNA, just have patience. We'll be on Spike soon, and if you get a chance, please watch it and check out the website. And I promise you, if you're tired of all the talking and all that stuff, watch TNA because these guys are really, really good. And it's not just because I work there. It's just because I really believe in this company, and I believe that everybody there does the best for its viewers and its audiences when we have them at Universal. And even people that don't know wrestling, when they watch it at Universal, they're just amazed because these guys are really good, and they give it all they got, and it's all for the fans.
Absolutely.
And thank all my fans, too, for sticking with me because, I've done a couple radio shows and internet stuff, and people are always real positive and still wanting to see me around. So I will stay around as long as people let me, and I always promise you that I will always do my best.
Well, thank you for staying around as long as you have with us on this show. We really appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great day and enjoy your rest of the day with your kids.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on the program.
Thank you. Have a great day, man.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho of Fozzy, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. And remember, we are huge rock stars.